Tender brief. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the pre-tender briefing for Local Buy's Environmental and Consultancy Services Arrangement, LB312. First of all, we'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we work and live, recognise their continuing connection to land, water and community, and also to pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. My name is Pat McCormack. I'm the Local Buy Category Manager for this new arrangement. It's my lovely picture there. I'll be assisted in this presentation by Audrey Dobell, who's our Customer Relationship Manager for Northern Queensland and the Northern Territory. And as you become more familiar with Local Buy, you'll also meet Liz McFarlane, who is our Customer Relationship Manager for Southern Queensland and Tasmania.
Thank you, Pat. So why are you here today? The Local Buy pre-tender briefing is to provide you, a potential supplier, with an introduction to Local Buy, an outline of the arrangement, and the process of becoming a pre-qualified supplier on a Local Buy arrangement. Today, we're going to cover the 5 points: who is Local Buy, the categories, the platforms that you will be using, key things to remember, and how you can get support from us. Who is Local Buy? Local Buy was established in 2001 by the Local Government Association of Queensland, or the LGAQ, to meet the needs of local government with the procurement process. Our arrangements enable councils and other approved buyers to obtain a broad range of products and services from pre-qualified or preferred suppliers without needing to undertake a tender process, or subject to being able to demonstrate value for money, requesting multiple quotes. We are a profit for purpose organisation, and all profits are returned to the LGAQ. You are here today to understand the Register of Pre-Qualified Suppliers for LGA Arrangement, Engineering and Environmental Consultancy Services, LB312. The intent of this LGA arrangement is to provide councils and approved buyers in Queensland and the Northern Territory with access to suppliers of these services through an effective and streamlined procurement process, which is transparent and compliant with legislative and probity requirements. This LGA arrangement can be accessed by the following organisations: all 77 Queensland councils, regional organisations of councils or ROCs, government-owned corporations or GOCs, state government departments, agencies and statutory authorities, water and port authorities, charities and non-for-profit organisations, universities and schools, Northern Territory councils, large privately owned corporate entities who have been approved to use our contracts. I'll now pass you back to Pat.
Thanks, Audrey. And I'll just point out to anybody who listened to the original pre-tender briefing, unfortunately, our efforts that day weren't recorded, so we're recording this again so that we can send it out to all suppliers. First of all, the LB312 arrangement is replacing BUS 262, which has been operating since 2017. So BUS 262 is very significant in terms of the procurement of engineering and environmental consultancy services for Queensland local governments and beyond. In the last 3 years, the arrangement was utilised by every Queensland council, regional organisation of councils, 23 Queensland government departments, which are becoming an important part of local buy arrangements, state authorities responsible for delivery of infrastructure, reconstruction, energy, stadiums, water and sewage and ports, as well as schools, hospitals and universities. So in that 3 years, 150 separate purchasing organisations engaged 253 suppliers to deliver over $246 million worth of consultancy work. The new arrangement's name is Engineering and Environmental Consultancy Services, and its identification number is LB312. It will be released to market on the 1st of August 2022. That is the release date for the tender. The initial term of the arrangement is 3 years, which means commences on the 1st of November 2022, and that initial term will take it through to the 31st of October 2025. In addition, there are 2 optional additional extension periods of up to 36 months. So if both of those extensions are fully utilised, the arrangement will run until the 31st of October 2031. It has 20 categories. That is the new arrangement. You'll see there they're broken down into engineering and environmental, and Australian environmental. The joint engineering environmental categories are something new for this arrangement. and that just is because those particular categories have a mixture of both engineering and environmental requirements. There's new categories for mechatronics and renewable energy. So the general conditions of contract document. So this is one of 2 contracts that you will find amongst the tender documentation. There's the general conditions of contract, and that is yourself as a supplier. This is your contract with local buy. So the Schedule A, which is shown here, is a summary of the important details of that contract with local buy. I would recommend that you familiarise yourself with this document, and it does contain important information about the fees you pay to local buy, and also how to amend your contract fees or your rates that you charge out for the arrangement. So the Schedule A includes the contract number, the arrangement commencement and expiry dates, the extension periods, your minimum insurance levels. Please note that the insurance requirements are mandatory. If you don't meet them, you won't be appointed. The contract management percentage verification fees, your pricing schedule, who is the category manager, what the purchaser conditions are, and who are the eligible purchasers who can use the arrangement. So all of that important information is contained in Schedule A. So your pricing, you're required to submit a pricing schedule using the pricing template provided. So that asks you to provide hourly, daily and weekly rates in Australian currency and GST exclusive. You've got the opportunity to amend your pricing every 3 months. We'd ask you to limit those pricing amendments to annually, if at all possible. So any requests for pricing amendments are sent through to the category manager for approval. So the rates that are shown on this pricing schedule are the maximum rates that you can charge for work obtained under the arrangement. Your rates can be lowered for long-term engagements or large projects. So purchasers will use this LB312 arrangement to conduct requests for quote processes, in which they will supply you with all the documentation required so that you can provide a competitive and accurate quote to them using the arrangement. But just remember that any rates supplied need to be equal to or lower than those rates that are shown in your pricing schedule. You'll also be assessed on your quality assurance, workplace health and safety and environmental systems, while certification by a third party to ISO or Australian New Zealand standards is highly desirable. It's not mandatory. And so, but we do ask you to provide demonstrated evidence of management systems in these three areas. Purchasers conducting RFQs through the arrangements may have their own requirements for these systems, in that they might specify that for a particular project that they'll want someone with ISO 9001 QA certification or something similar. Registered Professional Engineer of Queensland. So we've got options here, particularly for, I suppose, interstate companies. As we're aware that in Queensland, all engineering work must be carried out by or directly supervised by a registered professional engineer of Queensland. So tenderers can provide details of RPEQ engineers in an area relevant to the services being offered, and that engineer can be employed by your company, or the details of an engineer who would be engaged on a regular basis to directly supervise the work. For interstate companies and similar, you can signify your agreement to engage an RPEQ qualified engineer with registration in an area relevant to the services being offered to directly supervise work carried out under this arrangement if requested to do so by a purchaser. RPEQ registration is not required for work in the environmental categories. There's minimum insurance levels, public liability insurance of $20 million, professional indemnity insurance of $2 million per event. There's also statutory work cover insurance, not required for sole suppliers. That is the statutory work cover. Contract management rebate. So you pay local buy 1.5% rebate for work obtained under the arrangement. So every month you'll send a report to local buy, which shows all invoicing sent out by you for work obtained under the arrangement. Local buy will then send you an invoice for this rebate. So it's 1.5%, and the sample calculation there is if you report $40,000 work through a month, then the 1.5% means a 600 rebate is payable to local buy. There's also a verification fee. This is an annual fee. The initial fee is $500 for first year. That's payable by new suppliers. So existing suppliers would pay $250 for the first year, and then all suppliers pay $250 for following years. There's a number of exemptions for these fees. The companies that have less than 20 full-time equivalent staff and under $2 million annual turnover in the preceding financial year, companies registered with the Australian Charities and Not-for-Profits Commission, registered Indigenous owned businesses, and businesses registered with social traders. So your first step, I'll now hand over to Audrey to take you through the steps involved in registering and then completing the tender.
Thanks, Pat. So your first step is to go to Vendor Panel. That's our online electronic RFQ system accessible through local buy by both suppliers and purchasers. So if you're not already registered, please go to www.vendorpanel.com.au. And once you're registered, you'll appear in Marketplace. It's really important that you understand Marketplace is not local buy, but it's just a list of suppliers if you think white pages. So once you do become a local buy preferred supplier, you will appear as one in there as well. Now, when you are in Vendor Panel 2, you will receive notifications from Council. So it's really important that you do register in there as part of the process. So once you are pre-qualified on the local buy list, you will receive your RFQ request through Vendor Panel. So verification fees. We have already covered this just in a previous slide, but just going back to it again, it is really important that if you are exempt, you do let us know during your tender process so that we can mark your notes. Next step is to register an APET 360. This is the electronic platform that you will answer the tender for local buy. So 360providers.apetsoftware.com.au. It is free to sign up, free to register. When you land on the page, you'll see the screen you're looking at now on our screen here, and it's either a sign in or a sign up. If you've already got an account, just sign in. And if you don't, you'll need to register. You can do this before the tender opens and be ready to go. So what the appointment stage looks like. So it's a 3-month cycle. In August, on the 1st of August, this particular tender will open for you to apply. It'll be open for the month of August, closing at 2 p.m. on the 31st of August, Brisbane time. There will be no exceptions, and we will not accept late applications, so please be on time. For the next month of September, we will do evaluations. Please keep an eye on your inbox for any questions, clarifications, or addendums during this time. And in the month of October, we do appointments. So you'll find out if you are successful. And we'll also run a new supplier seminar in order to help you come on board and find out everything you need to know and your obligations. So as I just said, keep an eye on your email during that evaluation month, because we do, APET 360 do put out all their information, all their questions, clarifications, addendums through there. We often do find it goes to people's junk boxes, so have a look in there as well each day. So to summarize what we've just spoken about, what you'll need to remember is make sure you give yourself enough time to complete your tender. That closes on the last day of the month, being the 31st of August at 2 p.m. Brisbane time. Keep an eye out for emails from notifications at APET Software, as these are very important notifications you do need to read and acknowledge. All questions must go through the APET 360 forum, and they will be responded by the relevant category manager. In this instance, it will be Pat. Pat is unable to be contacted with during the month of August, just due to probity reasons. Now, APET 360 will only let you view this tender from the 1st of August. You can go in there now and register and be ready to go, but you will not be able to view the actual tender and the documents associated until it opens on the 1st of August. We ask that you complete all questions in full and supply all the supporting documents as identified. APET 360 will not allow you to submit your tender until this is completed. Refer to our website localbuy.net.au or localbuyactive.com.au and our social media for regular updates throughout the process. And don't forget, we are here to help. Liz and myself definitely will be more than happy to help you with any questions you have, especially during August when you can't connect with Pat direct. Now, as Pat mentioned before, we are re-recording this. Unfortunately, we had a technical issue before, so we're not going to have live questions, but we are happy to take your questions by email. So thank you very much for joining us today, and we hope this has been helpful and informative for you.